friends. We welcome you to the Sacred Name Telecast, presented by the Assemblies of Yahweh of Bethel, Pennsylvania. I'm Elder Jacob O. Meyer, proclaiming the revealed personal name of our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and the good news of the kingdom of the heavens. And special greetings are extended to every avid Bible student who has joined us for the Sacred Name programs today. We hope that you join us with your textbook, the Bible, as we study the sacred scriptures on the Sacred Name radio broadcast and on the Sacred Name telecast. Don't forget to bring a pad of paper and a pencil or pen so that when you hear the scriptures being read, then you can note them down and you can reread them and recapture much of what I said here on this particular program. Whenever you sit down in the privacy of your home and you wish to be inspired and study the scriptures, then you'll be able to remember the things that we brought out, the sound doctrines of the Word of Yahweh here on the Sacred Name programs. The Sacred Name programs have been on the air for the past 43 years. That means that we started with a radio broadcast, and then after a while we also included a telecast, which went into hiatus for a few years, and then we revived it in 1992. So we are continuing to reach out with this knowledge of the sound doctrines of the Word of Yahweh, pushing back the forces of darkness and evil and sin and wickedness, and replacing them with the light of Yahweh's Torah truth. Well, can it really be that long since I've been on the air? I guess it has, because time has gone so rapidly, and we have started in a very nominal way, and then we continued to increase and expand as Almighty Yahweh led the way. During that time that we've been on the air, we have spoken to literally millions of people all around the world. Yet there continues to be a people, predominantly ministers, I presume, who should know better, but they don't seem to want to study and seriously consider this subject and objectively study the sacred scriptures out of the subject out of the sacred scriptures alone. By this I mean, do as we did. Go back into the Hebrew text first, and then the Greek text of the Bible, and then the Aramaic text. And here is a bilingual Aramaic and Hebrew New Testament. So we go back to the original sources as closely as we can return to them. And there's so much good material to verify the doctrines that we preach here on this Sacred Name radio broadcast and the Sacred Name telecast. I know that you'd really appreciate getting involved in some of this Bible study. And so I'm encouraging you, don't just put this subject aside because it's of extreme importance to your eternal salvation. I want to read a verse here that should be considered by everyone. I am Yahweh, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to carved images. Now that is in the sacred scriptures in the Hebrew Bible. The name Yahweh appears. The name Yahweh is the most frequently used word in the Hebrew Bible. It is wrongly transliterated as Jehovah. And so consequently, when I learned this truth, I learned it in a Bible class that was sponsored by Albright College in Reading and taught by a Lutheran minister. And he began his course in Bible by telling us that the name of the Almighty in the Hebrew Bible is Yahweh, but we call them G-O-D or L-O-R-D. Well, L-O-R-D is not a good transliteration of the 4 letters of the Hebrew name of the Almighty, the author of the book. Should we change that? No, we cannot change it, although popular world religion has sought to do this all these many years. Yet we have when we encounter this truth, and in the Encyclopedia Judaica it says the name of the Almighty, the true name, was never lost. It's always been around. If you want to search for it, you can find it. And so I began to study the Hebrew Bible about 35 years ago, and I've had just a tremendously encouraging study ongoing even now as I study the sacred scriptures to try to mine it for the gems of knowledge that are to be released by the sacred text in the last days. The book today is being unsealed, and every week we can bring out various gems of knowledge that have been locked in the Bible but are available as knowledge has been increased, as you read in Daniel chapter 12 verse 4. So in the King James Bible you would find here, I am the L-O-R-D. In the Hebrew Bible it is Ani Yahweh, I am Yahweh. That is my name. And the word Shemi appears there in the Hebrew text. I am Yahweh, that is my name. And my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to carved images. And so Almighty Yahweh will not give away his name to anyone except, as the context of Isaiah 42 reads, he will give it to his son. So consequently, Yahweh appears there, not L-O-R-D, and you may be shocked to learn that L-O-R-D is a translation of the Semitic term Baal or Baal. And I don't want anything to do with Baal worship. 1 Kings 18 tells me that. You can, when you start studying the Bible and you start applying the sound doctrines of the sacred scriptures, you will learn how corrupted nominal churchianity or nominal religion, all the religions are. But the true worship and the sound doctrines are still here. In 1966, we began to unlock the Bible and to restore the true worship, the true messianic faith. And then the organization was founded in 1969, and we've been expanding into many countries of the world. I think currently we are in around 100 countries or more of the world. Now, it's not just in Isaiah where this reference to the sacred name appears, but it appears throughout the Bible. The Messiah's name was not J-E-S-U-S. That is a corrupted, attempted transliteration of the Greek term Jesus, which comes then through the Latin Jesus, and this is what has become J-E-S-U-S. But there's no J sound in the Hebrew Bible. There's no J sound in the Hebrew language. It is like a Y sound. The smallest letter of the Hebrew alphabet is called the Yod. And so even Jehovah has added wrong vowels to the letters. Now, Josephus tells us in Wars of the Jews, Book 5, Chapter 5, Section 7, that the Almighty's name is 4 vowels. And they certainly are. They are called matris lectionis, which means mothers of reading. But the Jews have added vowels to these letters. They're also consonants, if you want to see them that way. You can read the name Yahweh as vowels. You can read it as consonants. And so they added vowels, and this is what is known as Kathiv Kareh it is written one way, but it is read some other way. And that's what they've done is to change the pronunciation and the enunciation of the name to Adonai. Now, in Amos, we find that several times there is a reference to the name of the Almighty. Chapter 4, verse 13, toward the end of the verse, that makes the morning darkness and treads upon the high places of the earth. Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, Yahweh, Elohim Zevaoth, you find in the Hebrew. And that is once again reproduced in the book of Jacob or James. I don't like the word James because the Hebrew name of the second bishop of the Apostolic Assembly was Yaakov, Jacob, same as mine. Treads upon the high places, that means the places where Baal is worshipped, on the high places. Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, is his name. Now you can just carry along through the 5th chapter and come down to the last verse, verse 27. And in the end of the verse it reads, has said, Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, which is his name. Once again, the name is important. And the book of Malachi, that's the last small book at the end of the Old Testament, or so-called Old Testament. It begins in verse 4, Malachi 4:4, the last chapter of Malachi. It says, Remember the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded to him in Horeb for all Israel, even statutes and ordinances. So are we remembering the law of Yahweh? Before the great and terrible day of Yahweh comes, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the earth with a curse. Now, in Isaiah chapter 52, verse 6, we are told that, therefore, it says, My people shall know my name, therefore they shall know that I am he that does speak. Behold, it is I. When Yahweh starts speaking from the heavens in the last days, you'll know that it's the genuine Almighty when he uses his name, and you'll hear spoken from heaven, Yahweh. Exodus chapter 22, also, this is in Yahweh's core commandments, the Torah law that was given at the Matan Torah, the giving of the law from Mount Sinai. In Exodus chapter 22, verse 20, He that sacrifices to any Elohim, and the word Elohim means the Almighty One, except to Yahweh only, shall be utterly destroyed. And I don't want to be utterly destroyed. I want to be one of Yahweh's true children. Then here in Exodus chapter 23, we read also in verse 13, And in all things that I said to you, take heed, make no mention of the name of other Elohim, neither let it be heard out of your mouth. And so consequently, we are warned very strictly that that we may not use the name of any other Elohim in worship, any other mighty one, the mighty one of the nations. And I could go and do a whole study on this subject because it's very plainly expressed in the scriptures. Yahweh is his name. But now what about the name of the Messiah? The Messiah's name is Yahshua, and it means Yahweh is salvation. You see signs along the road, especially in our area. Here we live in a religious area, and the signs say J-E-S-U-S, saves. No, there's nothing in there that says he saves, but when you use the name Yahshua, the true name of the Messiah, which he was given when he was here on this earth, and supernaturally given to his father Joseph, then when we find that it was Yahshua. The name Yahshua means Yahweh is salvation. What a glorious doctrine this is. And it is systematically and totally and completely used throughout the sacred scriptures. It's a harmony of the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, in other words. Now, I'd like you to note down literature offer number 9119. And 9119 will be this stack of literature and this paperback book. And it's going to be very interesting to you when you obtain them. Remember, you can write to our name and address and order literature order number 9119. And it'll come out to you as soon as we can get it in the mails. Now, 9119 is this stack of literature, which I'll be explaining at the end of the program. And so you write to the Sacred Name Broadcast, P.O. Box C, Bethel, Pennsylvania, zip code 19507. Or you can telephone our toll-free number and give your name and address, spell words that we might misunderstand, and we'll get the literature out to you just as rapidly as we can. That'll save a day or two or a week of letters going through the mails. All you need to do is walk to the telephone, dial our toll-free number, 1-800-523-3827. That's 1-800-523-3827. And say, I heard Elder Jacob Omeyer offer literature offer number 9119 on the radio broadcast or on the telecast, and I'd like to receive that literature order number. But if you live in a foreign country, that 800 number, toll-free number, may not work. So you have to use our main office number here at Bethel, Pennsylvania, international headquarters of the Assemblies of Yahweh. And that number is 717-933-4518. But you'll have to prefix some digits ahead of that number to get into the American telephone system. And we'd surely like to hear from you and send you this stack of literature. Can you believe it? Euthanasia in our country is now being proposed. This is the United States of America, where we've always considered that life is precious. Here's a booklet that's been widely publicized on the news media. I have a copy of it here. And this booklet, of course, was put into print by the Clinton administration, and then it was withdrawn by President Bush. But later on, it has been revived now by the Obama administration, and it's really a problematical book for me to consider, because it proposes that you make some choices now, your life, your choices. I just like to mention that this book is a very negative book. And here on page 21, there's a chart, and various questions are asked. I can no longer work and get around in a wheelchair. Now, what you do is difficult. You have four choices: difficult but acceptable. And the second choice is worth living but barely. And the third one is not worth living. Fourth one, can't answer now. So you don't really get a good choice of answers. They have already pre-programmed your mind now so that you can't answer these questions perhaps the way you want to. You could say, my faith that I have in my heart would never allow me to end my life. And then here, of course, on the next page, page 22, personal and spiritual beliefs. Now, there you can express what you believe. I believe that it is always wrong to withhold not start treatment that could keep me alive. That's not true. That we can't accept that. Yahweh has spoken in Psalm 139, and it tells you there that the moment of your conception, Almighty Yahweh knew the days that you were allowed to live, and He knew the day of your death. All of this stuff, and then with the new health care proposals in the legislation, there would have to be government bureaucrats who would have to counsel you every 5 years to see whether you should live. Now this takes me in a horrible route back to the T4 program in Nazi Germany. The minute I started hearing about this, then I started saying, why, that's a revival of the T4 program, which began with gassing mental retarded people and people who were cripples and just on and on. And so we don't have the option to end a life. Suicide, in my estimation, has always been wrong. And therefore, I cannot support anything like this. And here's a major article. It says, imagine spending your final moments on earth in the company of a government health care worker with a syringe who injects you with a lethal cocktail. Well, why in the world aren't we executing murderers sentenced to death, but we're keeping them alive for 20 years on death row? It would be much better to spend our money on people who deserve it, law-abiding citizens who worked hard for the country, perhaps even were on the verge of giving their life in military conflict. And then it also says here in Isaiah chapter 3, and I just want to use this as a final scripture on this program. Isaiah chapter 3, beginning with verse 8, describes the time in which we're living. Isaiah 3:8, which says, for Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah has fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against Yahweh. Not just Jerusalem, but also the whole Western world seems to have taken leave of their senses, because a lot of this euthanasia stuff is now being proposed in Europe. To provoke the eyes of His glory. The show of their countenance does witness against them. I'm in Isaiah chapter 3, and this is now verse 9. The show of their countenance does witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not, which is what they're doing on the streets in the gay pride parades. Woe to their soul, for they have done evil to themselves. Say to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe to the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for what his hands have done shall be done to him. As for my people, this applies to you and me, friends. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they that lead you cause you to err, and destroy the way of your paths. No, we must restore true worship, and we must restore the sound doctrines that have led this country to greatness. Now, we find in Revelation chapter 6, and I won't have time to work on this one, maybe the next program. In Revelation chapter 6, the four horsemen appear. And those four horsemen will end with a horseman whose name is Death. And then there is going to be a terrible persecution, a great tribulation. And it says that when he had opened the fifth seal, Verse 9, I saw underneath the altar the souls of them that had been killed for the word of Yahweh, great religious persecution, and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a great voice, saying, How long, O Yahweh, the Holy One, and the true? Do you not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell upon the earth? And there was given to each one of them a white robe, and it was said to them that they should rest yet a little time until their fellow servants also and their brethren who should be killed, even as they should have fulfilled its course. So there you go. These are the things that are going to be happening in our world. Now remember, the literature offer is 9119, and I'd like to urge you to obtain this literature. I'm going to send along a free copy of my most recent book, The Mark of the Beast, from Revelation chapter 13. You're going to find this to be very interesting. On the outside is a map of a beast, the Roman Empire at its greatest extent. Here is an article titled Defending Textual Authenticity. I'm a great believer in the authenticity of the scriptural texts. So I wrote this major article, and you may have it free of charge. Testifying to the name of Yahweh, what is the name of the Heavenly Father, and what is the Messiah's name, and those are 3 articles on the sacred name subject. Here's our statement of doctrine, both in the standard form and in the pocket of purse edition. You just stick it in your pocket. Here are 2 articles on the sacred appointments, Yahweh's sacred appointments, and how to keep Yahweh's holy days. The holy days will soon be upon us. Are you going to be keeping them? Here's our correspondence course. Here's one of our recent magazines, just an outstanding publication. And I wrote an article, Change in the Priesthood. This is another issue, and on the inside back cover is our radio and television log. And you get a free 1-year subscription to the Sacred Name Broadcaster magazine, many times with pictures of the Holy Land. Write to the Sacred Name Broadcast, P.O. Box C, Bethel, Pennsylvania, zip code 19507. And you can telephone our toll-free number, 1-800-523-3827. And there's not a cost or charge for this literature. It'll come out to you free of charge. Until next week at the same time on the same station, this has been Elder Jacob O. Meyer saying thanks for listening, and may Almighty Yahweh bless you abundantly.